Hi friends, welcome back to another video slash potentially rather short episode of the James Red podcast. Today I want to talk about my recent trip to New York City, and I want to specifically focus on the planning that I put in before I left to go to New York City to make sure this trip was as productive as possible. I've learned that on these trips you get caught up in the motion of everything and the energy of everything, and your brain kind of doesn't take advantage of the moments that come at you like maybe you could. And so I've learned that it's a good idea to have a game plan before you go on the trip. Some people do this very naturally, but I'm a rather spontaneous human being, so therefore I don't maybe put in the time necessary, or I don't have a natural inclination to plan like some people may do. So I have taught myself to plan, and I want to go over my notes that in my planning ecosystem, where I wrote down some things about what I wanted to be up to in New York City. And so I'll just go over the main bullet points of what I was trying to achieve. I listed the things out in terms of James Red /videos, so this channel, the Reds /videos, which is the channel that me and my wife share, and goals and social media goals. Yeah, and so I was trying to organize everything underneath these categories in an attempt to be productive and focused. Now, what this does, looking back on the trip, what this did for me was it gave me a framework that just sat at the base of my brain the entire time, as opposed to sort of winging it and trying to make things happen as I go. I had a foundation of direction in place from the beginning. And so whenever I was in the moment and not doing anything, or just as I'm going through my day, I am able to refer back to that. And that is the value of planning beforehand. So if we go to James Red /videos, I wrote down New York street photography video, which has already been posted. And then underneath that, I wrote down that each one should have its own thumbnail, because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I don't. Both me and my wife don't always execute on the thumbnail part of a video well enough. Like we don't take advantage of finding a nice thumbnail when we're there. I did not intentionally find any thumbnails. So I guess I should have referred back to the list more. That's okay. You can make it work, but it's a good idea to be more intentional. This is why you need to write these things down. It helps you expose your weak points. The second video I want to be working on is one that I think may be called Creative Friends in New York City, and this will just be a general recap of the entire trip. That's a draft title, if you will, for it, but I've learned as a YouTube creator that it's important to give something a title to create directionality for what you're up to. It helps you work forward from that title as you are creating the video in the first place, as opposed to creating the video and then going, what will I name this thing? Not always the best way to go. But you know, it's possible that will change. It's good to have a starting point. Let's put it that way. The next one is planning for a trip, which is the video that I am filming at this very moment. So I'm going to actually, boop. All right, that one's done. And then if we go to the Reds /videos, we just had two major videos that we were trying to create: vlog part 1, vlog part 2. And I wasn't sure exactly what the titles were going to look like for those in specific. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we didn't know exactly what was going to happen in New York City. We were going to be capturing it and documenting it and figuring out how to organize that into cohesion later. Oh, look, my neighbor with the loudest car in the universe is back. The problem I have with my neighbor with the loudest car in the universe is that he doesn't just turn on his car and leave. He turns on his car, I can only assume reads a graphic novel for 30 minutes, and then leaves. And this is frustrating when I'm trying to create a video. The next thing was goals. And this is where I wrote down my overall goals for what I was trying to achieve on this trip. I had a rough idea of what was going to be happening, who I was going to be with. We were specifically going to be spending a lot of time with our creative friends, John Hill and Sarah Dici, YouTube creators. Fantastic. We'll link below. And I wanted to be intentional about my time with them and be intentional about the time at the events that we found ourselves at and different sorts of things like this. So one of my goals was to be of help, to be of value to John and Sarah. And both me and Christina were able to help them film at the event while they were busy hanging out with their subscribers and such. And I was wandering around John, for example, filming him while everyone was giving him hugs and this sort of thing. And it's hard to sort of focus on that many things at once when you're in that sort of situation, I would presume. So I think it was probably particularly helpful that I was able to hover around him with the camera and put one of my oldest skills to use. Christina also did the same thing. My wife, or Sarah, followed her around. And so we were intentional about trying to do that in the big ways like that and in the smaller ways as well. Earlier on in the day, in the event, we were trying to help them set up, that sort of thing. And so going in with that mindset from the beginning helps orient your actions. I'm out of breath. I think my wife, for one, I forget to breathe when I record these things. My wife got sick right when we got back. I might be getting it. I feel my airways not being so free, and I'm starting to feel like I'm slowly dying, so it's potentially happening. And if so, I love you guys. It's been a wonderful ride. The next one was that I wanted to build relationships toward collaboration. So the people at the event that I was going to be hanging out with, I wanted to engage with them and just start to slowly build relationships patiently and be able to put myself in a place where if I messaged them, if I wanted to make a video with somebody later on, I could message them and say I was the guy at that event, which is different than I'm a random person on Twitter who has a YouTube channel that's messaging you. Those are two vastly different things. If you've met me, you saw me smile at you, you realize I'm a friendly person, we shook a hand, hugged, maybe more, then you're more likely to want to respond to me in the future for further video making, this sort of thing. So I was trying to be intentional about that as well. And also meet as many people as possible and be a friend. Now, this is crucial when you are trying to interact with other people on a daily basis in general, but specifically I think when you're trying to build relationships within your own community that will help benefit you in the future. I'm not an expert in this world of things. This is me experimenting, and I think that this is a really solid way to go. That if you want to engage with people and hope that opportunity comes out of that in the future, the first thing that you should do is try to be a good friend to them. Be a valuable person to them. Be somebody that they want to spend time with. Every time they're around you, you make their life better. If you want to have a friend, you need to be a friend. I think this is a universal truth. I also wanted to try to make it in videos. I wanted to make it in other creators' videos. And while I was there, I wrote down a couple of things of being intentional about what would I try to bring to their videos. What sort of things would I want to talk about if I got the chance to talk about them? All of these things, just going through this beforehand in my head, being snippetable, right? So if you're in a vlog, for example, being able to say something quick and witty that will allow you to be in that vlog for a second, bring some value, maybe a little bit of humor, and also the longer you can make your snippetability, the longer you may end up in the video. Once again, a theory, but I was trying to be very intentional about that as well. Be concise, and this was an overall goal for the entire trip. And this is something that I was trying to speak into one of my weaknesses whenever I embark on journeys to other places and everything gets really energetic and exciting. I wrote down be concise in thought and speech. And what I mean by that is I will find myself in positions where my brain, I've been hanging out with so many different people, there's so much going on, I'm an introvert, my brain will sort of detach from itself and everything will kind of start to fly up in the air a little bit, if that makes sense. I will no longer be as grounded as I want to be in a situation. And so because of that, I end up sort of not being as thoughtful as I want to be. And so I want to engage in this practice of being very concise, being very thoughtful in my thought in a situation and what I'm saying and how I'm engaging with other people. This sort of thing. Social media goals, share one photo Friday night, share endless Instagram stories. And what's nice is you can go back, you make this a to-do list, you go back and then you check them off and realize how good you did while you were there. And I accomplished most of my goals. There were a couple I missed, but I was able to sort of have a checklist of the things that I pulled off on this trip. And so that helps me feel like the trip was meaningful and useful. But share one photo Friday night. I think I did that. I didn't check it off. One I did check off was share endless Instagram stories. I was all over my Instagram stories. Tweet interesting updates, and I put in parentheses like GIFs. I was thinking it would be interesting to tweet out GIFs of me, wandering through the airport, this and that. Take a photo of Christina. I never did specifically take a photo of my wife. But that's okay, she's always around. Take a photo of John, skating in specific. Take a photo of Sarah. I took a photo of Sarah at the event. We have another friend named Kelsey. I wanted to make sure I got a photo of her. She's a bike messenger, and we've been trying to interact with her a little bit. And so I captured a couple of photos of her at the event. Who knows what will come from that. Take a photo of John and Sarah's office. I forget if I did that one or not. I don't think I did. Anyway, so social media goals is what I was trying to do with these specific goals was make sure that there will be areas that you will miss if you're engaging in the insanity that can be a trip, especially in New York. There's so much energy there, but I've learned that I will miss certain platforms that I'm trying to engage with if I don't make sure I'm intentional about that. I'll put a lot of energy over here, and then I won't put it over here. And then when I'm there, everything will get sort of jumbled and scary, and you'll vomit. And then you'll realize I never shared a single Instagram story, or I never shared, tweeted a nice GIF of me and someone else who I interacted with, and that would have been really valuable. Not that I share that many selfie GIFs, but regardless, these are examples. Apply it to yourself. You'll miss certain areas because you'll be so focused on this area and so if you have this framework at this foundation at the deepest point of your brain at all times, before you embark on this journey, you will find that it will help you actually accomplish things. It's this very subtle thing that will be in the back of your head. And when that's not there, there's a tangible difference. I felt that on this trip. And I was very on point on this trip because of that. And I accomplished a lot of things. And the fact that I'm going to be able to make 3 videos out of this, took a crap ton of photos, got a photo walk in, got time with our friends in, got some really interesting relationship building time. And it was a very productive trip, and I think that had a lot to do with me being intentional about my planning. And so that's it. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you guys have, I would be curious to hear what sort of challenges you've had on your own journeys out and about where things get, or even going to an event, right, where things kind of move fast and you have to be on your toes about stuff. Have you had interesting planning techniques that have helped you? But anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. I hope you have, it's been 15 minutes. Goodbye.